able to hear me? Perfect. I do not have your typical 9-5 job. My mornings begin with me checking in on my tenants, ensuring each and every one of them is doing all right. I'm sure running in the back of some of your minds is that I am into real estate, or perhaps I'm a landlord. Well, I am a landlord, but not your typical type of landlord. I am a farmer and an agronomist. My tenants are my crops and my livestock. I ensure to take care of each and every one of them up until they can take care of me. I clearly remember this day. I clearly remember this day 10 years ago on Zambi Pansi Farm. Can you imagine? I shoved 3/4 of my arm inside the behind of the car. And out of a class of 22, we were only 2 volunteers that volunteered to do this. And it was on this very day, I knew exactly what I wanted to do and become. And that was to become a farmer. To me, the agricultural industry is the most lucrative industry that has ever existed. And it will never cease to exist because people need to eat every single day. With all the social media buzz and frenzy about farming as a business, we have so many enthusiasts pushing people to start farming as a business when they themselves have never owned or run businesses, leading people to prematurely start farming. So you find that people have the perception that farming is a fast money kind of venture. People have been backed up with the ideas that it's this business with huge cash flow projections and of course the fulfillment of being a millionaire on the calculator. Calculating, okay, today I'm going to grow tomatoes and I'll sell a box at 400 because you heard a farmer sold a box at 400, you multiply. So if I have 400 boxes multiplied by 400 kwacha, and you have those assumptions and you prematurely start farming without having proper information and ideas. I'm going to share a short story about a friend of mine. If tenacity was a person, if determination was a person and patience was a person, it would best describe my friend. My friend quit her job and decided to start farming as a business. She had everything to her disposal. She had all the infrastructure. She literally had everything for the success of her venture. But she lacked in some areas. She didn't have the information. She didn't have the expert help. She didn't have the market for her produce. She didn't even know where she was going to sell her produce. My friend tried literally everything and anything you can think about growing. She was moved by what she would see on media. She was moved by these perceptions, these calculations. All these things pushed her to start farming as a business. And when some of her crops were ready, she didn't even know which market to take them to. And you find that she would travel miles away to take her produce to the market. And you find that her produce would even get rotten on her way because it was very far distances that she would cover. And in turn, it would end up eating into her profit and her revenue. The biggest mistake my friend made was that she never specialized. She never chose something or a crop that she would be good at, that she would learn and nurture till she became a pro at it, till she would be known only by it. When we speak about specialization, we think about, for instance, the Z farmer. What do we know her for? Tomato production. When we think about Buyabamba, what do we know them for? Potatoes. When we think about Yalelo, what comes to our mind? Fish. And it is all these things. Specialization is very critical and it will make you effective in pushing all your business objectives. For example, the crop I specialize in is green beans. Green beans is a crop that I know how to grow. I grow green beans for the open market at stores like ShopRite. If you walk into ShopRite and check a packet of green beans, it would come from my farm. And not to forget, there's what is called the farmer's baptism. And this is an experience that my friend passed through. The farmer's baptism is an experience that every farmer has to go through. And what do I mean by it? It is a ritual where a farmer comes into agreement with failure, loss, disappointment, theft, and all the unimaginable things that you could ever think of. And this is part of the refinery process. This is part of a farmer's journey that a farmer cannot miss. Irrespective of how careful you are, you will pass through this. You will pass through the fire. Being a farmer, there are a lot of barriers that farmers have to break, looking at the economy in Zambia. For example, the cost of production, the cost of being in production is extremely high in Zambia. There are certain crops and commodities that are still the same price from 20 years ago, even when inputs were free. And these are some of the things that farmers go through. Another example would be the market. The market operates with the laws of supply and demand. When supply is high, it means that the price will automatically drop down. And when supply is low, the price will automatically be high. So imagine you've invested 100,000 kwacha in a crop of tomatoes. With all things being equal, you grow your tomatoes well, you manage the process, and everything goes well. The time you land on the market, it's flooded. And unfortunately, a box of tomato can fetch as low as 5 kwacha. Can you imagine 5 kwacha for a box of tomatoes? So this is all part of the farmer's baptism, all part of the experience and the journey of being a farmer. But farming as a business is about building a legacy. It's about building a business that you can pass on to your next generation. It's not a one-stop or a one-way lottery ticket. It's not about hitting the jackpot, but it's a journey, a business that you can pass on from your generation to the next generation. How many people in here come from farming families? How many people in here want to take over those farms? Okay, that's great. Because we have situations and instances where when the founder passes on, you find that these are things that the farm dies with the person. And so how many Zambian-owned farms are generational? But if we track down the white farmers, we can trace them down to the 1930s. But how many Zambian-owned farms can we trace back to then? It's pretty much at zero. With all the difficulties I've mentioned, there are the rewards, of course. And the rewards are big. When a farmer wins big. And it's a blessing to be a farmer. It's a blessing to be able to give life to crops, to be able to give life to livestock, to animals, to be able to give life to humanity. It's a rare and it is an honor and a privilege to be a farmer. Because without the farmer, there will definitely be no future. How many people here want to start farming? I don't want to burst your bubbles, but I want to say that not everyone can be a farmer. But what I want to say is that there's room for everybody in the agriculture sector. When I mean everyone, there's room for everybody. There's room for the engineers. They can design the buildings. There's room for the accountants. They can do the books for farmers. There's room for the IT people. They can run the softwares for farmers. There's room for the social media influencers to market products, to market produce. There's room for the photographers to shoot content, to shoot amazing documentaries, to showcase the beautiful art, science, and skills skill of farming. There's space for everybody. So, where is your spot? Thank you.